Hey guys, this is Thomas from Nurse Money Talk, and in this video what I want to do is talk about how much you can expect to make as a new nurse, but I want to caveat that by saying that your wage in a lot of ways is going to be pretty dependent on what state or what area you live in. So what you'll see is that I'm going to give you like a range, and it's going to be a little surprising just how wide that range is going to be, but it will kind of give you an idea of what you can expect. Now, the main thing to keep in mind with this is that if you're in a high wage state, and you'll know if you're in a high wage state, so like like a California or New York, states like that where generally cost of living's might be a little higher, but generally you're going to be in the topper end of like the income range in the country, then you shouldn't assume that everyone is going to get paid as high as you're going to get paid in that state. The reverse is also true. If you're in a state where generally you're going to be towards the lower end of like income, or average income or whatever, if you're in states like that, so that tends to be a lot of southern states or whatever, then you also shouldn't expect that most nurses are going to start out getting paid as low as you'll be getting in those states. So it's going to be somewhere probably in the middle of those, but you'll get a better idea once we start talking about it and once I show you the graph. But either way, make sure you stay till the very end, because I'm going to give you some tips on how you can make more money your first year as a new nurse. Before I get started with all of that though, I want to go ahead and invite you to hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. On this channel, I'll talk about nursing, primarily focusing on nursing students, nurse life, that whole 9 yards. And then if you find this video helpful and informative, feel free to share it. Please hit that. Also hit that thumbs up, because that really does help us in terms of making sure more people can find this video. With all that said, let's go ahead and get started. So as you'll see, the average wage for a first year nurse is about $64,681. Now, as you move towards the lower end, you'll see that, about a 10% might make about $51,957 on the really low end. And then midpoint to that, you'll see about $58,021 a year. Now, if you move to the right of the curve, you'll see at the 75th percentile, $73,941 a year. And then at the upper end for a first year nurse, you'll see it's about $82,371. Now, if you're wondering where I got the data from, I did pull the data from salary.com if you want to go check that out yourself. And if you want kind of like a more of a breakdown of what all these numbers mean, it's pretty much as simple as this. The average of what most people are going to get is about $64,681 a year. That's roughly going to be the average. And then at the low end, you'll see some will make $51,957. And at the very top end, you'll see that a few will be able to pull in that high end of $82,371. Now, if you start looking at this and how does this kind of pan out or look from an individual state perspective, what you'll kind of see is, the typical states that you would expect to be at the higher end of wage in terms of, what employees are making. So you're looking at your California, your Hawaii, your New York, etc., are going to be at the right end of the curve. So they're going to be the ones who are going to be making the higher, those are going to be the nurses that will be making the higher wages starting out. Now, if you're looking at your lower, like your states where you typically don't make as much or tend to be on the lower end of kind of like the pay scale, if you will, where, employees tend to get paid less, you'll be looking at kind of like your Mississippi, your Alabama, your Iowa, so states like that tend to be more southern states. one asterisk I do want to point out at this is that, these are all just kind of numbers that are pulled out without much context. So I do want to throw just a little bit of context with that before if you're watching this, you kind of feel like, oh, I need to go to California or Hawaii or whatever because I'm going to get paid a whole lot more there. So, which that might be true, but something else to keep in mind is that how much you'll make in a state or how much you'll make in an area doesn't tell the whole story. Something else you also need to keep in mind is about the cost of living. So that's, so when I say cost of living, that's like how much it's going to cost you to live, how much it's going to cost you to live in that area. That could be as things, things such as like, to buy a home, so mortgage or rent. How much is food costs, like, utilities, tax is going to be a big part of it. And so not always the case, but something to keep in mind is that the places where you'll see that you tend to make a lot more money starting out can have a higher cost of living. And the reverse is true for the states that have, where you make less starting out, they can tend to have lower cost of living. Now, sometimes, and you'll have to do research to really be sure, sometimes it could be worth it to move to a higher cost of living state because the income you'll make will far exceed the amount that it might cost you to live there. And sometimes it might not be worth it. So it's always worth it to make sure you're doing adequate research and kind of looking at more data, more numbers, somebody who lives there and just kind of finding out more information before you kind of move to an area or take a job specifically just because of the higher wage. Now, as promised, as a new nurse, there's a couple of levers you can pull to really maximize how much you're making. Now, the first one, and I think this one might be probably the easiest to pull, could be as simple as working night shift, working weekend shifts, and working holiday shifts. Now, the reason why I throw those in there is that there tends to be bonuses, or shift differentials attached to that. So working night shift, you might be able to make, $2-3 or more an hour, working night shift. Back when I first started as a nurse, this was in the ICU, a lot of the night nurses, loved working nights because, as they said it when they ran the numbers, just the shift differential alone, this was one nurse I was talking to back then, there's just differential alone covered his truck payment. So that was the night shift paid for his truck. That was how he kind of justified being on nights. So, and so of course weekend shifts, same thing. You can get weekend shift differentials with that. Holidays, at times you're getting either holiday pay, sometimes you might even get time and a half for that as well. Moving right along with that is considering working like overtime or picking up extra shifts. Now, of course, with the overtime, you're going to get the time and a half. So that's always going to be nice. And then like if you're picking up extra shifts, I made another video where I talked about this a little bit more, and I'll put that up there if you want to check that out. But the nice thing about picking up extra shifts is that at times you can get like a bonus attached to it. So I've worked at a facility where if you pick up so many extra shifts within within like the schedule period, which was 6 weeks. So if you picked up so many extra shifts within a 6-week period, they'll give you like a bonus. And the bonus was pretty nice. I think depending on how many extra shifts you work, you could get up to like a $1,600 bonus or something like that. Don't quote me on that. It was some years ago, but that sounds about right. But either way, definitely want to look at taking advantage of some of those programs. Now, the other things you could look at would be working in specialty nursing positions. So for example, you're looking at like your ICUs, your ORs, or whatever, especially like the ICU. Some facilities might give you like an ICU shift differential, for instance. And that is like a shift differential you get on top of like what they would consider an across the board base nursing pay just for you working a specialty position. Lastly, make sure when you are applying for jobs that you avoid facilities that honestly are known for underpaying nurses. And if you do some, make sure you do your due diligence. I know it's going to be kind of hard if it's moving into a new area, but what you'll see is that there are going to be facilities who do have a reputation for not paying their nursing staff well. So you'll definitely want to keep an eye out for that. Now moving right along, what you'll see in this video that I'll show over here to my left, like I'm going to throw in a video in there that will kind of show you a little bit more tips, tricks, hacks, or whatnot you can use to make more money as a nurse. So definitely make sure to check out that video. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, and then I will catch you very soon in that next one.